Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by Parasite Systems. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Sam Swearingen. Hey, Sam, how are you doing tonight?
Never better, Doug. How are you?
I am doing good as well. So today we are riding for the brand BTC, and joining us on the phone today is Mr. Ed Prozer, the 1977 saddle bronc riding champion of the American Professional Rodeo Association. Welcome, Mr. Prozer. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Doug.
All right. Well, it's a blast to have you on here with us tonight. Now, I said 1977 saddle bronc riding champion, and that was one of 13 championships that you won in the American Professional Rodeo Association. Was 1977 your first?
I tell you the truth, I really don't know. I went back. I was back when they began, so
Okay.
I'm not sure if that was 1977 or 19. I'm not really sure, Doug.
Yeah, I think it was before. I think the APRA was formed before that, and it might just be where their record keeping starts. But 13 APRA championships, and you rode in the Delmarva Association as well.
Yes, I did. I rode in the Delmarva when they became the APRA.
All right.
I went to the first rodeo they had, and I tell you the truth, I can't even remember. It was one of Bob Taft's rodeos.
Uh-huh. Well, I know Bob Taft was a big part of the American Professional Rodeo Association back there. And for our listeners, Delmarva is Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. So, Ed, I want to back way up. I want to get back to the very beginnings. So where were you born? Where were you raised? Talk a little bit about growing up, if you would.
I was raised in Howell Township, New Jersey, well, Farmingdale, really. And I always had a pony in the backyard when I was a kid. And then as I got older, I went to work for a guy that had had a little stable in Lakewood, New Jersey. And used to break colts for him and stuff, and met a guy named Tom Tucci.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom and I, we rode colts for this guy, and then we started to rodeo. And when I was like 17, I'm right around 17 years old.
Okay.
And it started then. Then it's ironic because that place where I started turned out to be years later, turned out to be the Red Pony Rodeo.
Red Pony Rodeo. Okay.
And I went back to the Red Pony. That had to be 20 years, 25 years later. And it was great. It was my weekly paycheck going there.
Okay. Okay. Well, when you were growing up, 17 years of age, you meet Tom Tucci. Was there rodeo around? Had you heard of rodeo?
There was Cowtown, New Jersey, which was way down South Jersey.
Uh-huh.
But Tom was from New York State.
Okay.
So what happened was we went to a rodeo. It was one of Dick Quintoni's rodeo in Fishkill, New York.
Ah.
Where I met Dickie, and I actually went to work for Dickie for a while, and he taught me how to ride broncs.
All right. So Dick. Let me make sure I got this right. Dick Quintoni?
Yeah, Dick Quintoni. He owned United Rodeo Company.
United Rodeo Company. So when would this have been?
Oh, God, that's got to be, I'm going to say early 70s.
Oh, wow.
It's probably 70, 71, 72, something like that.
Okay. And you went to work for him, and what were you doing for Dick?
I actually went to work for him. I was taking care of stock for him, and I was actually his rodeo clown and bullfighter.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
I don't know if I was any good or not. Nobody said I was good. Nobody ever said I was bad. So, and I fought bulls for him, and then I learned how to ride broncs, and I always wanted to ride bareback horses, but I was always scared of them. I was always scared to get hooked up. And bulls, I just didn't like.
Sure.
They always felt funny to me. So I just finally said, I'm going to stay with bronc riding.
Okay.
Dickie said, Yeah, there's no longevity in riding them bulls.
Right.
So that's what I did. I picked out the saddle bronc riding, and I stayed with it.
Okay. And you hadn't been on a bronc before you went to work for Dick?
I'd been on, on
Yeah.
colts and
Right.
stuff, but I never been in an association saddle.
There you go.
And actually, it's funny because that's 50 some years ago now,
Yeah.
and his son gave me this saddle that I first ever got on a saddle bronc in, and it was a saddle I learned to ride in, and it was a saddle that Mike Waters learned to ride in,
Okay.
and it's sitting in my basement now. And
You still have it. Okay.
it was given to me last year, and now it just sits in the basement, sits on a saddle stand.
Okay. And what make saddle is that?
I have no idea. There's no
Okay.
markings.
No markings. So, okay. Okay.
It was an old. It's probably an old turtle or something like that.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So it's that old. So I was going to ask because the barrier to entry for bronc riding, it costs a bit of money to get in, meaning you got to have a saddle, you got to have a halter and bronc rein and all that sort of thing. So that makes sense. And did you just jump on and go and it was cool and you learned it and away you went?
First rodeo I ever went to, I thought I almost got killed. And
I feel your pain.
Went back home, and the second rodeo I ever went to was in Comac, Long Island.
Comac.
And I won a second in the go around. Mike Waters won it. I won a second in the go around. And I think I won $128. And back then, that was a lot of money.
That would be. Yeah. Yeah. And who was putting on that rodeo? Was that Dick?
That was one of Dick Quintoni's rodeos.
Okay. So you traveled with him throughout the summer and competed?
Yeah.
So did you bust out and go anywhere else during that time period, or were you busy about every weekend?
Well, I was busy every weekend with him, and then Andy Camp had rodeos on Thursday nights in Round Top, New York. And just not to get off track here a little, back in them days, if you went to a rodeo and they added $100 or $50, it didn't, at the time, it didn't seem like a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you went to one or two rodeos and you won a couple of $100 at a weekend, you had enough money to make it through the week and have entry fees for the following week.
I see.
And now, I didn't really appreciate it back then, but I do now, where these stock contractors put the rodeos on back then. They didn't add a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of money, but they kept a lot of people going. They kept everybody motivated, and you got to go and you got to get on stock, and you got to go to a party.
Yeah.
Of course, party after the rodeo.
Yeah.
And they made a little bit of money to feed their stock. And at that time, I really didn't understand all that. But now that I'm older, it does make sense.
Yeah.
And it took a lot to put them little rodeos on. A lot of times they did it for just a commission, like part of the gate or like United Rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
We had a rodeo arena in our backyard at Snow Valley, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a whole group of people that came. In the wintertime, we had a rodeo in Wappinger Falls. And in the summer, we'd do like 2 rodeos a month there. And then we'd travel up to Vermont, and all over Vermont and New Hampshire, and put rodeos on almost every weekend up there.
Okay.
And then I got to where I figured out I can go Thursday nights to Round Top.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of staying in one spot fighting bulls, I could go to another rodeo, or I can go to the Painted Pony, or I could go to Pond Hill. And I just said, okay, I'm going to try it. And I tried it, and I started traveling, and I wound up meeting a ton of people. And they were, God knows, I had my demons. And it's a miracle I'm alive today, doing some of the things that I did. But it really, now I really appreciate it. Now I'm at the age I'm at now.
Sure. So a Thursday night, Round Top, New York. Andy Camp's putting on the rodeo. $50, maybe $100 added. A Thursday night. How many contestants might he draw? Like in the bull riding or in the bronc riding?
In the bull riding, he used to get maybe 10, 15.
Okay.
Guys.
Yeah.
And in the bareback riding, he'd get 5, 6, 7 guys. A lot of guys came out of New York City.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, a lot of guys came. Bruce Samario, Bobby. I'm gonna let the dog go. Bobby Delvecchio, and there was a lot of guys in the area that used to come out and go to him every Thursday night.
So where's Round Top? Is that in the Catskills, up on the Hudson?
Yes, it is. It's up by Catskill, New York.
How far up out of the city is that then?
It's about, I'd say about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Okay, nice. And for you were living at the time in Fishkill, New York.
Yeah, I was staying in Fishkill, New York.
And where is Fishkill?
Fishkill's by Newburgh, by the Newburgh Beacon Bridge.
Okay. So not far for you to run up there either then.
No, about an hour.
Okay. And then you weren't far from Vermont and Pond Hill. Back in those early days, and we're talking probably 70, 71 now, right? When you're fighting bulls, doing the Thursday night gig, you can do a Saturday night gig at Pond Hill. Was that right?
We used to sneak off and go to Pond Hill, or we'd sneak off and go to the Pony, but that was RCA then. We didn't really do what we had to do. We got in a little like local,
Oh, okay.
And then I started traveling, and me and Tom, we just started traveling, and we went to rodeos all over, and Tom was a hell of a bull rider.
Yeah.
And he rode bareback horses too and everything.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, and broncs. Then I started going to other rodeos. I went to Bill Sloshauer's rodeos. Oh.
Where would that be?
That was in Maryland. Bill Sloshauer was a contractor down there.
Okay.
And then Kenny Brown.
Mm-hmm. Also Maryland.
Bob Alexander.
Okay.
He was from Virginia. And that's what I did. I just started going to rodeos.
Yeah. And so you weren't still working then for Dick at that point?
No, then I kind of just, we kind of graduated like Mike Waters did. He graduated, and he just started traveling. He went out west. I didn't go out west.
You didn't go?
I liked it up here.
Yeah. So did you have a job during the week, Ed, or?
I learned how to drive truck when I was a kid, and I drove tractor trailers during the week for guys and stuff. Hauled horses, and then on weekends I'd rodeo.
Okay.
And then and when I got older, I bought my own truck, and then I lived up by Buffalo for a while, and hauled chemicals and stuff.
Okay, your own rig.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, I can vouch. I rode with him one day. Scared me.
You did. Okay. All right.
But I got a question before we get too far into the future. Did you ever ride when Harry Tompkins was riding, or was he way before your time?
He was before my time, Sam.
Okay. So you never even met him, probably.
No, I don't think I ever did.
Okay.
He was just right before my time.
All right.
And
me being the older guy, I should know him, right?
And when did the two of you meet, Sam and Ed? When did you guys meet?
I met Sam and them guys when I went up north. Where was that, Sam? What rodeos was Tom Bishop and them at?
Well, yeah, I was probably about 14 or 15, probably 15 or 16. And that would have been about 75, 76 when I was going to Canada riding. And I was mostly riding bulls then, and kind of got on my first bronc at the house and just loved it ever since. That was it. We
went to a lot of rodeos in Canada together.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
And had a ball up there too.
So Canada, Quebec, Canada, Ontario. What were you doing at that time?
Mostly Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah, Quebec wasn't. It had Saint Tite, but other than that, there wasn't much up there.
Okay.
That I knew of. So yeah.
Me, and Mike and your brother Danny. I think we were the first ones to go up there.
To Saint Tite or to Ontario?
Yeah. No, Saint Tite was in Quebec.
Yeah. So you were the first crew to run up there to Saint Tite.
Yeah, me, Mike, and actually Danny. Yeah.
Okay. What do you remember about that? Mike's talked about that in the past. What do you remember about that first trip to Saint Tite?
It was good partying.
It still is.
And the wildest thing was that, and the stock contractor was Mel Wakefield at that time, and Mel was one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. And the funny part about it was that they announced the whole rodeo in French, and then they do it a little English, but you didn't draw stock up there. You just drew chutes. Whatever they ran in the chute, that's what you got in. If you got chute number 4, whatever went in, that's what you had.
Really?
So it was kind of wild. It took a little getting used to.
Yeah.
Well, if I'd known that, I'd have been back there loading them.
So let me just get this right. So,
I tried that, Sam. I tried to get Jimmy Boy, believe me.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, what were some of the broncs then that stood out for you up there at St. Tite? Was Jimmy Boy one of the broncs?
Yeah, he was. And who was it? Poison Ivy? Sam, you remember him?
Yeah, I never, at that time I was probably riding bulls, but believe it or not, I got on Jimmy Boy at Toronto at the big baseball stadium back like in 1980. They had him there. And
they had Showboat and Poison Ivy.
Yeah. And of course, Whiz Bang.
Yeah, Whiz Bang. I only got on him once.
And that was at Calgary, right? After he sold him?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he always bucked him in the bareback riding back here.
He never would put him in the bronc riding. I begged him to put him in the bronc.
No.
Okay.
So, and being a contractor, I kind of understand that he was so good in the bareback riding. Why would you want to take a chance? So I understand why he didn't do it, because that horse, well, we knew him as Whiz Bang, but later when he went to the NFR and everything, it was Hurricane. They changed his name when Mr. Vold bought him. I believe it was Hurricane.
Really? So a bronc by the name of Whiz Bang came out of St. Tite, right? Mel Wakefield's horses? No?
Yeah, he came out of Ontario, Mel Wakefield. And he actually, I found out this later on, that he bought him from a guy in Watertown, New York.
Oh, wow.
And his name, he sold him a couple really good horses. Arnold. Shoot. I can't.
That was his last name?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. But it'll come to me.
Yeah.
And really good horseman. And did a lot of dealings with Joe Simons later on in the years. So, that's where that horse originally came from.
Okay. And what do you remember about watching that horse go? And of course, we're talking about Whiz Bang, and he would have been in the bareback riding.
He was a good bucker.
Yeah.
And I knew that if they bucked him in the bronc riding, he'd be really good.
Yeah.
And Mel just said, "Nah, I'm not going to do that to my horse. No. Come on, Mel, put him in, please. No, I won't do that." And he never would. And like Sammy said, he understands it. But I did get him, and I got him at the right time in the right place once, and that was it.
And where was that?
That was at Calgary.
That was in Calgary. So how did you do on him there?
Casey Tibbs said I did pretty good.
Okay. And yeah, Casey Tibbs was one of the judges out there.
Yeah, he
Okay.
did. And I think, I was 87 or 88, something like that.
Really? And that would have been 1977, Ed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was. Wasn't it, Sam?
No, that had to be one of the later years because I was there and seen it. So I wouldn't have been there until about 80.
1980.
Sammy, I didn't tell you this, but I used your saddle that day.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Probably the best ride that saddle ever had made in it.
If you remember correctly, we went over to that little saddle shop that they had over there, and I took that thing apart and put it back together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what I remember most about that, Calgary? Of course, I was young and didn't appreciate it, like you said, what at that time, what you do now. But when I went in there in that one little building they had with the books of all the records of when they bucked, that was just incredible. It just sticks in my mind. You could open up the book and read every time the horse you had bucked and what they said it did.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. And I imagine they still have it. Well, I don't know with the phones and everything today if they do, but
yeah,
it was something.
That is cool. So to just kind of pull this all back together so I can get it in my brain, Whiz Bang, Calgary, Casey Tibbs was the judge, 1980. Yep. Ed, you get on this bronc on a borrowed saddle that you had reworked in a tack shop right before you put it on the horse.
Yeah, because mine broke.
and so you're jumping on a horse. You don't know what this saddle's going to feel like, right? So describe, do you remember getting down into the chute and everything and nodding your head?
Yeah. Yep. As I was crawling over the chute, I knew the saddle because that wasn't a Dave Dahl saddle, was it, Sammy?
Yeah, you sold it to me. It was a Dave Dahl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he kind of, yeah.
Okay, so footnote. Sam was riding in Ed's saddle. Ed's saddle breaks, so Ed gets and borrows his old saddle back.
Right.
I love it. I love it. So you got the saddle set. Big horse, how would you describe him?
He was just a nice big horse. He was a gentle horse. He was kind to stand around, and you could saddle him. And I mean, in a bareback ride, he was a little antsy, but he just stood there for me, and we just put the saddle on him. And I climbed over him. I looked over the chute at Casey Tibbs, and I said, "You're going to love this."
I like that. What did Casey say? He said, "Just get on with it," or what?
And he just looked at me, nodded his head.
Yeah.
Said, "Yeah, okay, go ahead, son."
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got done, I just said, "How'd you like that?" And Casey said, "Son, that's as good a bronc riding as I've seen in a long time."
Wow.
And I said, "Thank you, sir."
Yes, sir. So you won the round on that bronc?
Oh, yeah. And then I puffed my chest out and walked back to chutes.
Did you? Good for you. You got any pictures of that particular bronc ride?
I gave the pictures that I got from that bronc ride, and I gave them to the stock contractor, Mel Wakefield. I sent them to him.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I want to step back here a little bit. Calgary Stampede, they went for a few years, best I can tell, mid 70s to mid 80s. They went to team competition. Right. And I've seen pictures of you sitting beside Mike Swearingen, Ontario Rodeo Association. How many times did you go out there? And I read an article, Tom Harvey spoke about it in the ARA Buck and Shoot. I think this was around 92 or 82, about the ARA being invited back. The NARC was going to invite the ARA back to Calgary. So how many years did you go, and who did you represent?
I went to Calgary. I was on the Ontario team.
Uh-huh.
And we actually wound up splitting the team with Manitoba. So we had some of the bareback riders and some of the bull riders and the bronc riders, and some of the time event guys were from Manitoba. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, to fill out the Ontario Rodeo team.
Right.
I understand. Okay.
Huh. So I didn't know that.
And
okay.
I only went to Calgary one time, but then I went to Gallup, New Mexico. Went to Gallup. Then I went to, where was the other one at, Sam? Down Waco or
El Paso?
El Paso. Well, yeah, I went there.
In Denver.
And then I went to Charleston.
Denver. So you had Denver in there also, I believe.
No, I didn't go to Denver.
You didn't go to Denver. And Charleston. Okay. And that would have been like the last year. So that would have been not a team. That would have been just heads-up competition, right?
No, that was the team rodeo deal.
Still the team rodeo, and still with North American Rodeo Commission.
I was with the APRA then.
You were.
What it was, Doug, it wasn't the team concept like the head-to-head like they're doing now.
Yeah.
This was, you'd send a team, but it was top 2 or 3 guys in the association.
I see. Was there a team trophy that was handed out at the end? Or no?
I don't think
Not that I know of.
Okay. So you were I understand. So top cowboys out of each association. Okay. So going back to Calgary, anything else stand out while you were there? That's a big deal. Just talk for our listeners a little bit about the size of the arena and so forth.
It was one of the biggest places I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, Sammy, Sam, you went and flew to Redmond, Oregon.
Yes.
If I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I stayed there, and we watched
Canby, Oregon. That's where we went to.
Is that where you went? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I stayed, and we were just my party for 10 days.
In Calgary?
Yeah. Me, Gene Maynard, and some of the other boys.
Okay. 10 days of party in Calgary.
Yipper.
There. Lots of fun?
I had my demons, believe me.
Yeah. Understood. But good. Is it a good place to party up there?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't stick around. I went to Canby. Mike and I went, and it's something you'd never do today. You know, it's like there wasn't but a handful of people on the plane. They moved us up to first class, and we went through customs. I got a little nervous, and they said, well, did you win any money? What are you doing? Yeah. And I had done pretty well at Calgary, and it's like, oh, boy, what do you do here? You know, and I was 19-year-old kid. So it was a little scary, but an adventure. I wish, at this point in time in your life, you wish you would have paid more attention to those things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're a kid. All you want to do is ride. You didn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
That's like all the times we went to Canada. When we went through Buffalo, they never bothered us. When we was going up to Exeter and Norwood and all that, if you went through Buffalo, the Peace Bridge there, they never bothered us. But if you came through Watertown, they were going to tear your truck apart, whether you were going in or whether you were coming out. They pull you in and tear everything out and tear everything down. It was like, oh, my God, they're going to do it again.
Right on the side of the road, right?
Yep, right at the customs, right there. Yeah. I mean, they'd take your tackle bag and just dump it out in your suitcases. And then when they got done, they'd say, okay, put it back together.
So they packed it all up for you and helped you put it back?
Yeah, they packed it up all right. Yeah, they just left her lay, and you had to put it back together.
And then they take you in a building to make you take your clothes off.
What?
Yeah, they take you in and they make you take your clothes off and strip search you.
Okay.
They weren't nice people at Watertown.
Okay. But at the Peace Bridge, they were okay to let you up through.
Yeah, they never bothered us in Buffalo.
Okay. So you talked about riding and representing the Ontario Rodeo Association on the team. Did that mean you were riding also? Did you have a card for the Ontario Rodeo Association?
Yeah, I belong to the ORA.
Yeah.
I belong to the APRA.
Yeah.
The IRA.
Yeah.
I think I had a mid-states card.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah.
And I had an SRA card.
I was going to say, did you do much SRA? Were you one of these guys that headed to Florida for the winter or no, and rode down there?
I used to get out of. Yeah, me and I rodeoed with Joe Farley and I.
Oh, okay.
And we always went down it was like, okay, we had Thursday night, we'd say, okay, let's go. And we'd go to Tampa, we'd go to Arcadia, we'd go to Fort Pierce, or we'd go somewhere. I mean, it was like traveling with him was wild.
Yeah, yeah. And he was riding bulls at that time and doing a little bulldogging, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Mostly riding bulls when we went down there.
Mostly riding bulls. Okay. So if you had your card for the ORA, Ontario Rodeo Association, and did you qualify for their finals? Did they have a finals?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
And I think I won it, two or three times.
Okay. And then, of course, the American Rodeo Association at the time, the APRA now, and the finals. You were riding when they first went to Harrisburg into the Farm Show Arena?
Yes.
And that was quite a move up at that time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And it was a big production, and it was like going to the national finals for us. I mean, that was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
So
good crowds and good competitors and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. We had a good time, and we made a little money too, and it paid good.
Yeah. And then you said the IPRA. I saw that you had won in 1977. You were the IPRA Northeast Region Saddle Bronc Riding Champion.
Right.
You went to the finals. I read somewhere you went to the first 3 IFRs.
No, I was one of the first 3 guys to go to the IRA from the Northeast.
I see. So you were one of the first 3 to go to the finals. Okay, and at that point it was held in Tulsa?
Yeah, it was in Tulsa when I went. And actually, Mike Waters was the first guy to go, and Jimmy Myers, and then I went. And I don't know if Mike went that year or not, Sam.
I don't know.
I can't remember if Mike went that year, if me and Mike went together that year, or if Mike came the next year.
What year would that have been, Ed?
I think 75 or something.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that early on. Okay.
Yeah, are you talking my brother Mike or Mike Waters?
No, your brother Mike.
Yeah, the first year he made it, I think, was 76 or 77. I was still in high school, and we went out there with my parents.
Yeah,
I could have been younger. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I went the year before Mike then.
Okay.
And how many years did you go to the IFR, Ed?
I went twice,
mm-hmm.
and the one year I qualified, and I had a broken leg.
Oh, I see. Okay. And what do you recall? Big crowds, big rodeo town, good competitors. What kind of stood out for you?
It was the pageantry and everything in the rodeo, and the crowds were absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was the big show.
Okay.
And actually, I won the 10th go around in 1977, the televised go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think I was 86 points or something like that on 10 bandwagon of Burn Rodeo Company.
Okay.
And that was a big deal back then because they only filmed 1 go.
Right. But they had 10 go rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
No,
okay.
They had 9, I think.
9 go rounds, and the final one was televised.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, see, Mike, that was because there wasn't that many go rounds when I went out with Mike. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was before.
Okay. And at that time, so 75, into the early 80s, did you go to many Longhorn rodeos?
Yeah, I managed to go to a lot of Longhorn rodeos, and I got lucky and cashed a check. I didn't win first or second in a lot of them, but I always managed to cash a check, which was really great.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever compete at Pontiac in the Silverdome up in Michigan?
I was at Pontiac at the Silverdome, and I actually got my picture on the cover of the IPRA magazine.
Really?
At Pontiac.
Okay. And what year would that have been, Ed?
I think that was 77, wasn't it, Sam? 70 or no, 78 maybe. I don't know. I had R69. No, I had 9 dull knife, big black horse, and that was really something. All the people there. Was one of the biggest shows I ever been to.
Yeah, and again, good pageantry and everything like that.
Very well. It was a Longhorn Rodeo, and I mean, it was very professional. They knew exactly what they were doing and when they were doing it, and I got to tell you, one thing that I remember more than anything is Liesl Harris. He was so funny, it was pathetic. He was a comic to begin with, and he just had everybody in stitches.
Yeah.
And Bill McEnany
for sure, and
the
Liesl
Dillards.
Harris.
I think Dillards were there.
Okay, and Jerry Bellis was announcing him then.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, Bruce just did a phenomenal job. He everything was orchestrated right down to the seconds. He would, when I sat on a plane with him one time, he pulled his paper out and showed me, well, bareback riding took this long, steer wrestling took this long. He had it all down to a science, how he wanted it to go.
Yeah. And you're talking about Bruce Lurkey, Sam, the owner of the Longhorn Rodeo Company, running the Longhorn Rodeo Company?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Excellent.
And Bobby Rowe, he was the shoot boss, the manager.
Yeah.
And you knew when you were going to ride. I mean, he'd come and give you plenty of time, right?
When he came to the shoot, you better have your stuff ready.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you were going to get some bad words on it. He put some bad words on you. Come on, boy, don't fool around.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And when you said you got your picture on the cover of the Rodeo News of the IPRA, do you still have that picture? Do you still have that magazine?
Actually, I lost a lot of stuff there. I had a lot of stuff at my mom's house.
Okay.
And her house burned down, and I lost a lot of stuff. All my old pictures and everything.
I wonder if they'd have that out at the IPRA office, you think?
Is that Pam Williams Queen?
Yep, Pam Queen.
She was working in the office out there, and she actually said, yeah, we do have it. And she actually sent me a picture of it one time on my Facebook page, but I don't know where it's at now.
Okay.
And I do have a picture of it hanging in my kitchen.
Okay. Well, do take a picture of that picture, and I'll look on your Facebook page, see if I can locate it. If it's all right, I'd like to put that up when the episode goes up.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
All right, perfect. So, Longhorn World's Toughest, was that going on at that point when you were riding it?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Okay. And back in 77, 78, that sort of time period, how many rodeos were you going to a year?
I'm going to say I was going to about 60, 70.
Wow. So every weekend you are somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And just in the Northeast, you said you never went west except for...
I went west. I went out west, and I went to Texas, and we used to go to a lot of rodeos in Illinois, Ohio, Indiana. And then I went out to Texas, and we went to Oklahoma. That's when I was traveling. I traveled some with Mike Waters.
Okay.
And Joe Farley and Tom Tusey. We went to a lot of rodeos out there.
And ever tempted to just say, I'm going to bust out and go? I'm going to go out and live and do it out west, or?
Didn't really. I was comfortable back here.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I didn't know anybody out there, but, and I didn't have any qualms about my riding ability. It's just that I just was more comfortable rodeoing in the Northeast and on the East Coast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
And so Mid-States Rodeo Association, you talked about that's what you rode under and went to Illinois, Indiana, that sort of thing. And I know IPRA rodeos were out there as well.
Yeah, that's right. And let's see. The best recollection, you know what let me give you a little story.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember is I went to Columbus, Ohio, one of the Longhorn rodeos, and I had a horse, what was the gold-plated? And I had him at Columbus, and I'd been wanting to get on him for a couple of years, and I just never could draw him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the funniest thing because I was getting on this horse, and Bobby Rowe came up and said, "Come on, son, let's do it. These people paid a lot of money to see this rodeo. He's either make a spectacular ride or make a spectacular crash. one way or the other. You make a decision, but do it.
Yeah.
And I got on this horse, and second jump out, my halter broke.
Oh, wow.
So all I had was the buck rein.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't getting off, and I wasn't gonna buck off, and I rode him with no halter.
You finished him, no lifting on a bronc rein, none of that.
It was just hanging there,
Okay.
It was just hanging.
Okay.
And I rode him, and Bobby Rose said, "You know," he said, "I've seen some things, but nobody's ever rode that horse with no halter."
Yeah. Yeah. That was a spectacular ride.
And they put that in the program at the IRA finals that I rode gold plated with no halter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then later on, after the rodeo was over, a young kid walked up to me, and his name was Justin Rowe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we were standing outside the Coliseum, and he said to me, "Why don't you teach me how to ride them broncs like that?" And I looked at him and I said, "Are you kidding me?" I says, "You have the best opportunity in the world.
Yeah.
You could get on horses every day, and besides that, Gene's there all the time. He could teach you how to ride." He said, "I know, but he said, I want to ride them horses like you." I was like, "Yeah, I want to ride like Gene."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was. I've had some good times. I've met more people, more good people, and I've done more things, and it's unbelievable some of the people that I've met and stayed with, and when we were up north in New York, I stayed with the Skillets and rodeoed with them, and we used to go to the what's Gary Patterson's rodeo, Lima,
yeah.
Yeah, we used to go to Lima. We'd go to Henrietta. We'd go to Attica. Of course, I went to Attica a bunch of times. And the people were phenomenal.
Yeah.
We made a little money. We had a good time. But the people, I could never replace them. The memories that I have of meeting the people and the parties and just people in general.
Yeah.
And I still keep in contact with a lot of people. And it's the Facebook and all that stuff. I've got to talk to people and communicate with people that I haven't seen in 30, 40 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What a cool way to stay connected. You bet. Absolutely. Is there one particular Attica story or two that stand out for you, Ed?
Yeah. I had Moon there one time.
Moon
and
was
Sammy
a bronc, I take it.
Sammy knows him, too. He was a big yellow horse, and I got on him probably 20 years. I actually got on his mother when Bud Chase had him. Bud Chase was a contractor from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
And Moon was he was a big yellow horse that was really ticklish. When you got on him, you didn't say anything, because if you said anything, he was leaving. He didn't care if the gate was open or not. He was going to leave.
Okay.
And when you used to get on him, I used to tell the guys, undo the gate, and I used to scratch him, and luckily I got along with him. A lot of people didn't. I seen him squat a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'd yell, "Let's go, man! Come on, we're gonna do it!" And I'd climb down on him, and he'd kind of look back at me like, "You ready, Ed?" And don't say outside or anything, because he knew what you were saying.
Okay.
And when you got ready, you just looked over, and then they'd open the gate and he'd bail out of there.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I don't have any of them pictures because I lost them in the fire.
Yeah, but a good horse to ride, worth the.
Oh yeah, he was a bucker.
Yeah. Okay.
I won a lot of money.
Yeah, he always reared out of there really, really high, and after being a contractor, the crowd just loved that sort of thing. And jumped and kicked down the pen, and just a good horse. I got a story Dave Martin told me about him, because he bought him off Bud Chase later on in years. And he said, well, he kind of quit bucking. Well, I bet the horse was close to 30 years old. So he said, I decided to crawl on him out in the field there one time just to ride him. He said he just flat slammed me to the ground. He said, it's like I thought, wow, wouldn't you think that?
He tried to sell him as a jumper or something, didn't he?
I don't know, but
But I tell you, we had a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Okay.
I
Yep.
went to a lot of Dave Martin's rodeos. Went to Sammy's rodeos. You know, it was tough. The older I got, the tougher it got, because I was getting older and these guys were coming up, and they were.
Okay.
I knew I was burning out after a while. You know, it wasn't the.
Yeah.
It was not only the years; it was the miles.
And I read somewhere you retired from riding broncs at 46. Wow.
Yes, I was 46 when I stopped.
So talk about the rodeos, and I like where you've gone here. Dave Martin, of course, Sam's Rawhide Rodeo Company. Broncs, were the broncs getting better? Were you seeing better broncs consistently around over the years?
Yeah, they were pretty good. They were all, you know, pretty level down. So of course Sammy bought a bunch of horses from J Bar J.
Mm-hmm.
What was that old 100 first prize, Sam?
Yeah, I bought him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won a bunch of money on him. But and that big horse, I'll tell you what, if you stub your toe, you'd wake up on the ground.
So the broncs that Rawhide had, Sam had. Now think of all the different broncs over the years. What was the one, if you could do it all over again, what was the one? Let me get back on that one.
I'd probably say it was 100 first prize.
Really?
He was a big stout horse, and he was honest as the day is long. But he bucked. He bucked every trip. He'd do the same thing, and if you made a mistake, shame on you.
You know, and I kind of knew those horses, and I knew it was getting long in the tooth, and Jim was kind of through with them. But he still worked good for us, and he still bucked almost as good as he ever did. Him, and then I bought 44 off of Mike Ladding, Playboy.
Yeah, Playboy, yeah. I remember him.
Yeah, he was outstanding just to get on horse. And I bought one off of Dave Morgan from Florida. Was a really good horse also, Be Gone. You might not, that might have been later on in years, but he was really, really good. So it helped if I was riding and I'd go around and see him, and and that's how I bought Tequila.
You got to see
the same way. Yeah.
Very nice. I'm hearing of the team rodeo in the East. I believe it's like 1980, Ed. And Runquist, I believe was his name. Sam, help me out here.
George.
Okay. George Runquist
George Runquist and Bob Taft were the two big players of the team rodeo.
And heads up, like they're going to do at this Kid Rock Rockin' Rodeo in May down in Arlington, Texas. There were team rodeos in Atlanta, in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, I believe. Did you compete in any of those, Ed?
Yeah, I was at the Philadelphia Spectrum, and we went to Detroit, and I don't think I went to Atlanta.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, we went there, and it was that was more rodeos to go to, and they were big rodeos, and they were well organized and very professionally put together.
And what do you remember about the team concept? What stood out for you?
God. We were all, it was a team effort. Everybody was rooting for everybody else. And good, bad, or ugly, you did your best. You just did what you had to do. And hope you did good.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did pretty good. I got checks everywhere and did good. And
so how did it pay off? Did the winning team get money? Did the highest ride get money? How did it go?
Well, each event just paid a certain amount of money, and if you won that, it was like go-arounds almost. You had to, and if your team won, you got to go on to play the next team. which we always seemed like we always got paired against the SRA.
So two teams at a time competing, and all the events you'd run through it. Was that a night? Was that an evening, or would there be two games, two different sets of teams that would ride on a Friday night, let's say?
Well, it would be two teams on Friday night. You'd get three riders from your team and three riders from their team.
Okay.
And it was like a regular rodeo, but there was only 6 guys.
Okay.
And they paid first and second. I can't remember what they paid, but I did pretty good. I had a good time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I'm still alive, so that's a plus.
That is a plus. So our listeners love traveling stories.
I've got a good one.
Okay, let's roll.
We actually were coming back from we was in Texas and we was in Linden, Texas. We was in Oklahoma, and then me and Joe Farley came. I think we went to Florida. We came back from Florida, and I never would drive. I hated driving worse than anything in the world. And I used to make Joe drive everywhere. And we got to a point where he couldn't drive, and we had I think Jimmy Myers was driving the truck, and we were pulling this guy Charlie Knight. You remember him, Sam?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had one of them inline trailers with 2 horses, and there was a guy from Hawaii, and I can't remember his name. And Bailey Martin. Well, we had two horses. Yeah, we had 4 horses in this gooseneck, and we were coming up through Virginia we were going to Bud Fisher's house, and we came around a corner and come down a hill. And here's some lady stopped in the middle of the road. We were running about 75 miles an hour. Well, needless to say, we had that truck in every different direction you could think of. We turned the trailer over on the side. It hit a bridge. It blew one of the horses out the back door, and it skinned him all up. But he survived.
Really? Wow.
But Farley was sleeping and never woke. Finally, we had to wake him up. The cops said, "Get him up. We need his license and registration and everything." But they didn't give us a ticket or anything. But that was really a wild trip. We had a good. That was quite a delay. We had to get another trailer, and we had to tie up an axle. Oh, it was a wild thing. And we got the horses back.
And Joe slept all the way through the wreck.
Slept all the way through the wreck and everything till the cops got there. Well, there actually was a cop sitting up at the top of the hill and watching it all happen.
Oh,
so
my. Okay.
And finally, and I can't remember if Bruce Samaria was with us or not, and Bailey Martin and that was Bud Chase and a bunch of guys in his truck, and they were behind us, and they seen it happen. I mean, they missed us when they went past us. They missed us by inches.
Wow. And nobody hit the car that was stopped? Oh, wow.
No, we totally missed it. But it was quite the wreck. We didn't tear the truck up very much, but we put a few dents on it.
And it's incredible. Looking back, what we went through and what we did, it's just incredible. Things didn't turn out a lot worse than they did.
It's a wonder we're still alive.
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, as me and Joe Farley were coming from a rodeo in Illinois, and we said, we'll go through Canada. We'll go through Detroit. We'll go through Canada and over into Buffalo. Well, they bounced us out of Canada because Joe had a dog, didn't have no papers. So we come around, we got on the Ohio Turnpike, and next thing I know, Joe says, "Oh man, we're getting stopped." You kidding? No, we're getting stopped. So shit. So we had a bottle of Jack Daniels. We stuck underneath the seat, and the cop walked up to the truck, and he's like, "You boys know how fast you're going?" And Joe says, "I think about 80." The guy said, when I clocked you, your brakes were smoking." He says, "You were doing about 105."
Wow.
He said, we said, "Well, you got us." And the cop was a real nice guy. He said, "Look, You can't be, we weren't hippies, and back then it was mostly like kids with long hair and everything. Well, we were cowboys, had crew cuts and fresh shirts on and everything, and polished boots, and so now we're just coming back from rodeo and this and that. And the guy said, "Look, I'm gonna let you go." He said, "But I have your plate number here." He says, "And I'm gonna send it ahead to where you guys are getting off down at the end of the pike." He says, "When you get off," he says, "you're going to be timed. So he says, if I catch you speeding or you get caught speeding again," he says, "you're going to go to jail."
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's okay. Well, he did. He let us go. He didn't give us a ticket. And we went to speed limit for, I'm saying the biggest part of about 15 minutes. And then let's go, rodeo. Yeah. And back to about 90. So, but that was one time.
Well, Joe never went slow anywhere.
No.
Never. First time I got in a truck with him, I got in the back in the camper, and he's going up through his 20A heading to Buffalo. And man, I thought, I'm going to die. And, I was still in high school. I took all the sleeping bags and stuffed them up by the front like it was going to save me if we wrecked,
Original airbags, huh, Sam?
Yeah, exactly. He never went anywhere slow, and he made you say your prayers at night, let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, we'd drive, we left Auburn, New York one night, and in 18 and a half hours, we were in Tampa.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's clipping. That's clipping, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everywhere we went, he went fast.
And it was pretty common, drive all night long, not stop, right?
Yeah, just stop, gas up, and do what you had to do and get back in and put her back to the
sleep
floor.
when you can.
Oh, I love to sleep.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to drive, you had to hold a gun on me.
Okay. Any major injuries? Anything like that, Ed?
Yeah, I got hung up to a bareback horse in Wappinger Falls, New York, and that was in my early days. And I lost my spleen and half my liver.
Are you serious?
They had to do a bowel resection on me about 15 days later.
Goodness.
And another time I broke my leg real bad teaching a rodeo school at Gettysburg. And I was in a cast for, I'm going to say almost a year with that. And I had about 5 bone grafts.
Oh,
and I broke my one arm. I broke that 3 weeks in a row. I went to a rodeo, broke it, and went to a rodeo next weekend and tore my cast apart and pulled the plates apart.
So let me back up here just a little bit, okay? So you lost your spleen, you had your bowel resectioned, and said, "Yep, I'm still going rodeoing." And then you broke your arm. You went to a rodeo and broke it again. Now, did you have the cast on when you broke it?
Yeah, it wasn't my right. It was my free hand. And I just kept ripping the cast apart on it. Finally, guys, I got nothing left to reattach. You do this again, that's it. You lose your arm. So I said, okay. So I took 4 weeks off.
You took 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
And got rid of the cast and back in business, and away you go.
Yeah, I still got the plates in my arm.
Do you really? Okay. And any pains left over anywhere from any of this?
Sometimes I get out of bed in the morning, bone by bone. If I didn't know it was going to be this tough sometimes, but I get around. I get around good now. And then I had a crash in Wheeling, West Virginia. A horse flipped with me, and they had to do another bowel resection on me. And broken ribs, broken wrist, broke my ankles. It was part of life. It's one of them things that if you were going to ride broncs, I got to tell you, if you're going to rodeo, you're going to get hurt sooner or later. It's going to happen. It's one of them things.
So were all these injuries? I understand getting hung up on a bareback. Were most of these injuries horses falling, flipping over backwards, that sort of thing?
Yeah, horse will crash into the fence with you.
Okay. Okay.
It's something that, a horse goes down the pen and he's not paying attention to what he's doing. Next thing you know, you wind up in a dog and chute or something.
Yeah.
It's one of them things that you're not gonna. It's gonna happen sooner or later.
Yeah, you bet.
It's not if and when, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah.
So you retire at 46, Ed.
Yep.
And you take up another rather competitive hobby.
Yeah, well, the last two or 3 years that I rodeoed.
Yeah.
I married my wife Betty in '93, and I got my life straightened out. And I came home from a rodeo. I was actually with Fred Davis and a bunch of them boys. We were down in Tennessee and Wade Hughes, and we went up to New Hampshire to Andy's rodeos. And I got home, and my wife said, "Oh, by the way, I bought us a tack store this week." And I was like,
"What? Tack store?"
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought it. She says, "I bought a tack store." I was like, "Oh God, okay, whatever it is."
Yeah.
And Dusty Tinker moved down and stayed with me for a couple of months, and he taught me how to run a sewing machine and repair blankets and help me get. And I did a lot of English saddles. I repaired a lot of English saddles and bridles.
Okay.
And, at that time, I was going to like 4 or 5 rodeos every week. On Wednesday nights, I would go to Painted Pony.
Yep.
On Friday nights, I would come home. Then I'd go back to Painted Pony on Friday night. Then Andy Camp had a rodeo up in Hunter Mountain on Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to Castleton, Vermont, Saturday night.
Pond Hill.
Yep. And then I'd usually wind up going to one of Sammy's rodeos on Sunday. And then finally, I couldn't take it no more. The mile killing me, and I was getting older, and I finally retired. So, and I took up fishing.
Fishing, and not just getting out on a boat, floating about, and with a bobber and nice, easy fishing, right? You got pretty serious about it.
I actually, I called a guy that's the head of the New Jersey Bass Federation, and he got me in touch with a club right the other side of Vernon Valley over here, and I joined it, and there was about 19 guys in the club.
Okay.
And I did about 9 or 10 tournaments a year with them. We had each club, there was about 35 clubs. They'd send their top 6 to a state team to a top 6 tournament.
Okay.
And then I went with the BFL, which is it's a BFL is the MLF. It's a semi-pro deal. And
now, is that part of Bassmasters?
It was part of BASS then at that time, I believe.
Okay, BASS.
And it was actually it was the Walmart league, and I was a non-boater, and I went to a bunch of tournaments and didn't do very good. It was tapes.
What does that mean, a non-boater? You're fishing from the shore?
No, fishing from the back of somebody else's boat.
I see. Okay.
Now, in the club tournaments, I was going. I had my own boat. I had a Ranger bass boat.
Okay.
And
wow.
I'll tell you, it was easier making money rodeoing than it is making money fishing.
Okay. And still that competitive spirit that still was driving you?
Yeah, it was, it filled a void. I mean, I rodeoed all them years, every weekend, and I always had somewhere to go and something to do. So this was like every weekend I'd hook up to my boat and we'd go to a tournament somewhere.
Yeah.
But now I think it was 21 years ago, I bought a house here on a lake in North Jersey. Yeah. And I keep my boat right here on the lake. It's about 600-acre lake.
Oh, wow.
And I go out and go fishing every day.
Okay. Now you're on Culver Lake there?
Yeah, I'm on Culver's. I got my boats on a boat lift.
Okay.
I go out and push a button, it goes down into the water, start it up, back up, and go fishing.
Yeah.
And then I have a pontoon. Well, I don't have a pontoon. My wife has a pontoon boat.
Okay. And what do you smallmouth, largemouth bass?
Smallmouth,
crappies,
largemouth. We have hybrid stripers, walleye, pickerel, and a lot of crappie.
Yeah.
And
so back when you were fishing, I read an article about you, and it really I want to get your take on this. You talked about you were a bass fisherman at this point, and you made this statement, and I'd like you to tear it apart for us or give us a little bit deeper dive into it. You said knowing how to learn is a key character trait, and it centers on paying attention to the water rather than what's in the head. Knowing beforehand might help, but it's more important to acquire new knowledge on the sport.
well, you got to go at it with an open mind. If you go out there and say, this is what I'm going to do, you can do it, but the fish might not like it.
Mm-hmm.
You keep an open mind. You keep changing things until you start catching them. You learn how to adapt. You have to adapt. Be versatile. You just can't say, well, I'm just going to throw a top water and you're going to fish all day, and you might not catch fish.
Yeah.
But you must have read the article that guy wrote on me.
I did. Very nice, on thefisherman.com. And I'll post that up in our listener notes so everybody can go read it. But I got to tell you, I wrote on my notes as we got started, or as I was doing some research, I wrote up there bass fisherman versus saddle bronc rider. And to me, Ed, that statement could be in the context of fishing for sure. Could be in the context of rodeoing, bronc riding, bull riding. We've got a lot of young listeners that are getting, they're out on the road right now. Tear that apart for us a little bit and put it maybe into the context of bronc riding, knowing how to learn.
Pay attention to what everybody's doing. Don't think that you're cocky and you can just do what you want. You have to learn how to do things. And learning the right way is easier than learning the wrong way and then try and correct it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go at things with an open mind, and you have to pay attention to what's going on. That's basically, and don't do things over your head.
Okay.
I mean,
So put yourself into 1980 or whenever it was. You were in Calgary. You draw this great bronc. You're standing over the top of this great bronc. And if somebody said to you, knowing how to learn is a key character trait, and it centers on paying attention to the bronc rather than what's in your head.
Yeah, you got to ride him jump for jump.
Okay.
You got when whatever he does, you got to be there. The worst thing that people have is my take on bronc riding is this. Yeah. You have to everybody has this. It's called self-preservation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And whenever somebody gets in trouble, the first thing they do is either they'll grab the saddle, they'll try and get off or something. And to me, that's the wrong. If you just take self-preservation out and just go at it, okay. All you have is controlled chaos. Then it's just, but you're going to come through it.
Okay.
And that's what holds a lot of guys back is self-preservation. And there's a lot of guys that don't have that. That's what they go and they ride broncs, and they don't have. When a lot of guys like Sammy, for instance, or Gordon Brown, which is one of my favorite cowboys, and just turn loose and go. Just do what you got to do, and don't be committed. Say, well, I've got it, and then all of a sudden you can't do that. Well, let's just go and just do this. Whatever it takes, we're going to do it. And
So to break that down a little bit, I'm self-preservation says, oh my, I'm in trouble. I could double grab. I could grab my saddle. I could bail off. I could do a lot of things. However, you're saying, yep, you can do all that, or simply turn loose, jump at him, right? And just gas it. Is that charge?
Gas it.
Yeah. How many times did you go, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble, only to turn loose and go?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, It happens all the time. And if you don't learn that, you just keep going. Yes, if you're going to get bucked off, there's no getting by that. It's sooner or later something's going to buck you off. And when I first started learning how to ride broncs, I got bucked off a lot, but I found out that the ground is a lot harder at that point than if you just do what you got to do and stay there and keep trying. If you get bucked off, but you did your best. Wow. And Sammy can attest to that. That's, a horse gets you in trouble, you just counteract it and don't think about it, just do what you got to do. But
and so you get off and you say, "Did I do my best?" If you did, you're on to the next gig, right?
Yeah. That's about it.
How good it? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How good were you at letting it go? You made a bad ride for whatever reason. Stuff happens, mud, whatever. Were you good at letting it go, letting that ride go?
Yeah, I was pretty good at it. I learned at a young age that just do what you just. It takes nothing but try.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I don't go to a lot of rodeo. I go to one rodeo now. Every year I go to Gordon's rodeo in Cincinnati. And
okay.
And the Cowboys of today, it's not like it used to be to me. I mean, you see guys get in trouble nowadays and they just bail off.
Okay.
In the bull riding, a lot of guys just look off and that's it. They're gone. Back years ago, there was no such thing. You rode till your head hit the ground.
Yeah.
And today it's not it's not the same.
And was that the mindset of a lot of competitors around you at the time? Ed,
yeah, sure.
Back when you were riding?
Sure it was. Gary Sikoria, forget it, man. He was that guy was nothing but 110% try.
Yeah.
And Mike was 110% try. Sammy's brother, Mike. And, And there was a lot. Farley, he was another one. He tried his best. Every time he got on, he was going to give it his all.
And probably the one that is left out of there that you didn't say, Tom Tucci. Mm-hmm. His bull riding ability was phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
You remember that ride he made at Attica on just getting on that one Brahma bull that time?
Yeah, I do.
That he got off and he was mad and he said, "Hey, let me get on." He just packed him.
Joe Farley was on and told us that story, Ed, and Gary Sikoria. You're exactly right. So we've covered a lot of ground here, Ed. What? First off, you going fishing tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go tomorrow morning. But I got to go help my buddy put his boat in.
Are they biting good? Is it that time of the year already?
They're starting to get the water's starting to warm up. They're starting to move in a little bit. So, and it's tough to say. Sometimes they're shallow, and sometimes they'll be out in 30 foot of water. It all depends on what the weather is.
Really?
A lot of factors into there too. Believe it or not.
Yeah. So mainly crappie right now?
Well, yeah. Today I went out and caught 3 or 4 bass, but that was.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we usually I go with an older guy. That I shouldn't say it because he's only a couple of years older than I am. He's the crappie master, and I love going with him. He's funny. Vietnam vet guy, and he just loves to fish crappie. He takes me out in this flat bottom John boat, and he's like, everything goes away. You just go out there and fish with him.
That's cool.
And it's all good. It's really all good.
Do you still have your Ranger boat, or
yes,
what
sir.
are you
I have
fishing? Okay.
Sitting in my friend's garage. And it's covered up with plastic. It's just sitting in there. And
no tournaments.
No, I'm done tournament fishing. I can't take the 8-hour grind. You got to go out there and grind for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And my body just won't take that anymore. I just go out when I'm done. I'm done. Unless we're like in the spring, in June, we'll go up to 1,000 Islands to a friend of mine's house, and we'll fish 10 days up there. But after about 6, I'm ready to quit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of fishing. That's a lot on your feet. And
fishing
yeah,
man.
And you're spin casting the whole time, right? You're
fishing the whole time. I mean, it's a grind.
So we've covered a lot of ground, as I said. What question haven't I asked, Ed, or what would you like to share with us?
Like I said, I met a lot of fantastic people. I can't even begin to thank 99% of the people that I traveled with and the people that I've met, and the rodeo companies and the stock contractors. And I'm really thankful. I really am thankful. And how I got through it all, it's beyond me. And I'm just glad to be here and just be part of life. And the thing that I have now is that I have more years behind me than I do in front. And that takes a toll on you, you know. But I've enjoyed my life, that's for sure. And I've enjoyed rodeo, and now I'm retired now, and I'm enjoying fishing.
Well, that's excellent. That is absolutely excellent. Sam, anything?
Well, I'd just like to thank Ed for everything he showed me over the years, and you know, it's been a blessing, just like he said, the people that you get to meet and go with. But Ed was one that I looked up to and learned to ride from, and you know, everything moving forward direction. And you know, I'm not going to say it's where it got me today, because I don't know where I was at or if I should have been there, but
I had a good time, Sammy. That's for damn sure. We had some really good times, buddy.
It was enjoyable. Thank you, Ed. And that's another thing, Doug. You can tell it's somebody from the past when they call me Sammy.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Oh, this has been fun. Ed, I really appreciate you taking time on this evening to sit down with Sam and I. And we're going to say goodnight.
Okay, I appreciate it. And you have a good evening, and all the people out there, and God bless everybody.
God bless everybody. To our listeners, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of our podcast with 13 times American Professional Rodeo Association Saddle Bronc Riding Champion, Ed Prozer. To make your listening easier, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Search for Beyond the Chutes and follow us. Like us, give us comments, let us hear from you. Remember, check us out on the Beyond the Chutes Facebook page. Click follow and share these episodes. Let's spread it around so all these great stories get told out there. And we'd like to say thank you to Parasite Systems for their support with our podcast. Parasite System is a push-button parasitic diagnostic system for pasture animals, horses, cattle, goats, sheep, chickens, and for your companion animals, dogs and cats. And you can find them at parasitesystems.com. We're going to invite you to get your animals tested, your large animals. You can either check with your vet to see if they have the Parasite Systems all-in-one testing for your dogs and for your horses and your cattle. Or you can, for your larger animals, you can go online to Poop to Proof to order your mail-in kits. Parasite System. Sam, do you want to say it one time? pooptoproof.com?
No, you did a great job today.
I did a great job? Okay. Well, for your mail-in kits, we've got a coupon, BTC023, for 50% off your kits. Quick turnaround. You will know exactly what parasites your animals are carrying, so we can treat with perfection. This is Beyond the Chutes with
Sam Swearingen
and
Ed Prozer.
Until next time, this is Doug Simcox. Thank you for listening.